This is Farm Progress Company's DatelineDrought.com, presented by Genuity Drought Guard Hybrids. Hello, everyone. As I join you on this edition of our broadcast, I'm thinking about Christmas trees, wine, and the river. Not necessarily in that order. First of all, talking about the river system, before this week is out, you'll hear more about the challenges of navigation on the Mississippi. The Army Corps of Engineers has called a news conference for Friday to talk about the problems between St. Louis and Cairo, Illinois on the Mississippi. Now, that's just below the lock system. In that stretch, the river level is so low, it is impeding transportation already, and there are some estimates that by the 10th of December, the Mississippi could be totally shut down at that point because of the inability of barges to move through. What the Corps does with the Missouri River in releasing water down into the Missouri that eventually flows into the Mississippi River could make all the difference of night and day. And some politicians are calling on the Corps to take action now to avert a crisis in transportation on the Mississippi. What this could do, if indeed there were a crisis, would be to call attention to the problems that could exist someday if we lose a lock structure. Farmers have lobbied long and hard, and with very little success, to try to get some upgrading done of those locks on the Mississippi that are aged and are in need of replacement. Now, Christmas trees. You'll be hearing more about this in the days ahead, too, the fact that this drought has had a substantial impact on Christmas tree growers. I received an email just the other day from one in Wisconsin who said their family operation is not a huge Christmas tree farm, but they sure have been substantially affected, and not just the new seedlings. They lost many of those in the drought this year, but we hear that even some of the more advanced trees are being hurt by this drought. And there's the wine. An interesting story put out in Indiana Prairie Farmer about the fact that the wine, while the tonnage of the grapes was down, the quality of those grapes may be superior this year, simply because when you have dry weather and less water in that grape, that means there is more room for the flavor in there. So that may be a silver lining to the cloud of this drought of 2012. That's DatelineDrought.com, presented by Genuity Drought Guard Hybrids.
Fundamentals and technicals combined to hammer the soybean market in recent days. So it was fitting that both chart patterns and supply and demand factors worked together to finally halt the slide in selling today. For technical traders, the key was the ability of January futures to hold the June gap at 1388 to 1390 after breaking below psychological support at $14. Today's lows at $13.9125 are also in line with the objective from the break below mid-October lows as well. On the fundamental side, there was no ignoring today's weekly inspections, which topped 64 million bushels. China accounted for 70% of those shipments, an indication its demand remains strong for now. Basis also firmed as farmer sales dried up with the price break, and shippers try to originate all the bushels China and other buyers want. January futures began firming into the noon hour and kept going, posting a bullish reversal higher to close up 3 cents at $14.08. Corn prices were also able to turn around once the gloom lifted in the bean market. Much of the weakness in corn seemed tied to beans this week. The USDA report for corn on Friday wasn't nearly as bearish, for example. Still, export demand remained scarce. Inspections came in at only 9.5 million bushels, less than half the rate forecast by USDA for the marketing year. Inspections are down 45% from last year, though USDA forecasts only a 23% drop. Nonetheless, tight stocks will require rationing well into 2013, helping support the market. December futures ended up 5.5 at 723.5. Wheat couldn't overcome its early losses, though the market did finish off its lows. Old crop contracts were hindered by export inspections. The total for the week of 10.5 million bushels was less than half the rate forecast by USDA. So far, at least, production problems around the world aren't driving any business to our shores. New crop has suffered less and even ended higher in Minneapolis. After the close, USDA's latest crop progress report showed more deterioration, with the percentage of the crop rated good to excellent down 3% to just 36%. That knocks another 0.6 of a bushel off my yield projection nationwide, with most of the setback occurring in the hard red winter wheat crop on the plains. Forecasts remain dry for that region over the next 2 weeks, so it should enter dormancy in poor shape. Chicago December futures closed off 6 3/4 at 8.51. Kansas City was down 2 3/4 at 8.87 3/4. And Minneapolis finished down 2 1/4 at 9.22 1/4. Keep up with the drought situation across the country by visiting www.datelinedrought.com.